Today is Monday, February 14th. We'll tell you about the latest intelligence showing Russia could attack Ukraine this week and protests over COVID-19 restrictions that have now gone worldwide. Also, the most exciting moments from the Super Bowl, from the game highlights to the halftime show to the most talked about commercials. Plus, how much more it's costing to fill up your gas tank these days, why your avocado toast could be in trouble, and how Team USA is making history at the Olympics. Welcome to the Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The U.S. seems even more sure that Russia could invade Ukraine any day now, kicking off what President Biden said could be the, quote, largest invasion since World War II. Biden spoke to his counterparts in both Russia and Ukraine over the weekend. He told Russia's president that invading Ukraine would cause, quote, widespread human suffering. Biden said the West wants to end the crisis through talks, but is equally prepared for other scenarios. But at the end of that call, the White House did not appear to be any less convinced a war is imminent in Europe. Then in Biden's call with Ukraine's president, he reiterated America's support, saying if Russia does attack, the U.S. will, quote, respond decisively. Both calls came after new U.S. intelligence was revealed, showing a Russia invasion could begin within days. More than 130,000 Russian troops are now surrounding Ukraine. Russia still says it does not plan on invading Ukraine, but that its military could be forced to defend itself. Meanwhile, a lot more Americans are getting out of Ukraine. The Pentagon ordered American troops who were deployed there last year to leave the country and go elsewhere in Europe. The State Department also told most staff still at the embassy in Ukraine's capital to get out of there. Only a small number of core diplomats are staying behind. The busiest border crossing between the U.S. and Canada has now reopened, ending nearly a week of mass protests over COVID-19 restrictions. Police started arresting protesters and towing vehicles over the weekend. The protest disrupted supply chains and closed car factories on both sides of the U.S.-Canada border. Normally, millions of dollars worth of goods are transported across that bridge every day. So this has been a very tense standoff. Protesters have also blocked two other border crossings between the U.S. and Canada, and streets are still clogged all around the Canadian capital of Ottawa. Protesters have been there for weeks now, and many have said they will not leave until governments drop COVID-19 restrictions, especially vaccine mandates, but also mask mandates, lockdowns, and restrictions on certain gatherings. These protests have inspired a few other similar ones around the world, too. One in Paris, France, got especially tense over the weekend. Police there stopped at least 500 vehicles from heading to a protest that was banned. But a few dozen got through to the famous Champs-Élysées. Authorities fired tear gas as they demanded protesters disperse, and they fined several hundred protesters. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, dozens of trucks and other vehicles arrived in The Hague for similar protests, blocking an entrance to the historic Dutch parliament. Another large protest is expected today in Belgium's capital of Brussels. And another is planned soon for the U.S., going from California to Washington, D.C. Stay tuned. It's going to be a little longer before the very youngest Americans could be eligible for COVID-19 vaccines. You may remember we told you Pfizer asked the FDA to authorize its shots for kids younger than 5, as young as 6 months old. Well, the vaccine maker now says it needs more time to look into new data. Originally, the request was for 2 doses of super small versions of the vaccine, but now Pfizer says it wants to wait on their research to come back about a 3rd dose first. That research is already underway. Pfizer says it looks like a 3rd dose could improve protection quite a bit. The FDA is planning on reviewing all the data again for the young kids in early April. Separately, the CDC recently released a new study that found booster shots for adults start becoming less effective after 4 months. Still, it shows they still do work pretty well to keep people out of the hospital. Basically, it says the booster shots are 91% effective at preventing the most serious cases after 2 months, but after 4 months, that drops to 78% effective. No matter what, vaccine effectiveness was still higher after 3 doses than 2, so Americans are still being encouraged to get their boosters. The Los Angeles Rams have won their very first Super Bowl since being back in LA. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. The whole game was close, but the Rams took the lead when quarterback Matt Stafford passed to wide receiver Cooper Kupp. And he scored a touchdown with just 1 minute, 25 seconds left in the game. And that was Kupp's second touchdown of the night, making him the Super Bowl MVP. The Rams really had something to prove this time around. They were looking for redemption after losing the Super Bowl in 2019. Also, this was QB Matt Stafford's first season with the Rams after 12 with the Detroit Lions, and they were playing for a hometown crowd. Besides the Rams, only one other team in history has ever played a Super Bowl in their home stadium. After the game, Rams head coach Sean McVay praised everyone who was out on the field. He said, quote, "It's about the team. I'm so happy for these players." But the Bengals coach did not have anything bad to say about his team either. He said, quote, "It's a hard road to get to the Super Bowl. I'll never take this group for granted." Up next, the Los Angeles Rams will have a victory parade with the Lombardi Trophy. The last two LA teams to win national championships, the Lakers and the Dodgers, did not get parades because of COVID-19 restrictions. This time around, though, city officials say they'll support one. They just have to figure out the right route and spacing to keep everyone safe. But Rams fans aren't waiting until then to celebrate. They filled the streets of LA to party overnight. More about the Super Bowl and other news still coming up, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. When it comes to looking good, Stitch Fix has you covered. Say goodbye to wasting all your time and energy on endless browsing online, and hello to fresh picks curated for your taste and your size. Whether you need date night dresses or cozy loungewear, Stitch Fix can help refresh your look. And you have options. For the least work on your part, just schedule a fix and a stylist will send you 5 pieces that fit your style, size, and price range with no subscription required. Keep what you like and then return the rest. I love this option because you can actually try things on and get that extra help from a stylist. But there's another great option if you'd rather choose items yourself, and that's called Stitch Fix Freestyle. It's an online shop built just for you, based on your preferences, so it's kind of like having your very own clothing store. It's the easy way to get items that are just right for you from brands you know and trust, like Madewell and Sanctuary. Get started today by filling out your free style quiz at stitchfix.com/newsworthy and take advantage of free shipping and free returns. That's stitchfix.com/newsworthy to try Stitch Fix. stitchfix.com/newsworthy. Well, this year's Super Bowl commercials brought a big dose of nostalgia and star power. Advertisers shelled out up to $7 million for 30 seconds of airtime, so they pulled out all the stops. A few that seem to be fan favorites online include the Michelob Ultra commercial and all of its iconic stars like Peyton Manning, Jimmy Butler, Alex Morgan, and even Serena Williams. There were also quite a few throwbacks, like when Chevrolet recreated the opening scene to The Sopranos to show off its all-electric Chevy Silverado. Verizon's ad had Jim Carrey go back in time to his 1996 role as the cable guy to promote the 5G wireless network. And some old Austin Powers stars got together for a GM ad. Another trend in Super Bowl ads? Cryptocurrency companies. There were so many featured, some people dubbed this the Crypto Bowl. The ads weren't the only thing trending. Dwayne Johnson set Twitter on fire when he channeled his WWE persona, The Rock, to hype up the crowd before kickoff. And tennis icon Billie Jean King took on the honorary coin toss. Then the halftime show kept the retro vibe going with some of hip-hop's biggest names like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. Eminem took a knee at the end of his performance in what is thought to be a nod to former NFL player Colin Kaepernick. Rumors say Eminem kneeled even though the NFL told him not to. But a spokesperson for the league is pushing back on that, saying the NFL had no issue with Eminem's gesture. Overall, though, social media lit up for the show, with some people like LeBron James, Bobby Flay, and Mookie Betts even calling it the best Super Bowl halftime performance ever. A celebrity after-party turned violent over Super Bowl weekend. Rapper Kodak Black and 3 others were shot early Saturday morning after Justin Bieber's pre-Super Bowl concert. They're all in the hospital, but everyone is expected to survive. Police say it started out as a fight outside a West Hollywood bar, then gunshots. Kodak Black's lawyer says it was an unprovoked attack, and he just jumped in to help protect a buddy. Though Black has been convicted on weapon charges in the past. He was sentenced back in 2019 to nearly 4 years in prison, but President Trump commuted the sentence in his final few hours in office. So far, no one's been arrested for the latest shooting. It might be harder to come by avocados soon. The U.S. nixed all imports of avocados from Mexico over the weekend. The reason? The AP says a U.S. plant safety inspector was threatened, and it was related to cartel violence. Mexico's Agriculture Department confirmed it, saying the U.S. authorities made the call to suspend imports after one of their officials doing inspections got a threatening message on his official cell phone. U.S. inspectors work in Mexico to make sure the avocados don't carry diseases that could hurt U.S. crops. Going forward, it's not clear just how this will impact the avocado supply here in the United States. But we do know Mexico is the biggest producer and exporter of avocados globally, with more than $2.4 billion of it exported to just the U.S. in 2020. The USDA has not responded yet, but Mexico said the suspension was, quote, until further notice. Team USA is making moves and history at the Beijing Games. American speed skater Erin Jackson won gold in the 500 meters yesterday, making her the first Black woman to win gold in an individual sport at the Winter Games. Also over the weekend, Lindsay Jacobellis won another gold medal, this time in the new event of mixed snowboard cross with teammate Nick Baumgartner. And they were actually the oldest pair in the competition, since Jacobellis is 36 and Baumgartner is 40. Then this morning, 2 American bobsledders won gold and silver in the first ever women's monobob. Kaylee Humphreys took gold, who, by the way, only became a U.S. citizen 2 months ago. And Elena Myers-Taylor won the silver in that event. Right now in the medal count, Team USA is sitting in third with 15 medals, 7 of them are gold. And that's it for your main news today. So now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, a message from our sponsor. It's a new year, which means it's time for new ideas. And turns out that women may be better investors than men. That's right. According to research, women investors outperform their male counterparts. So what gives some women investors an edge? They're more likely to be risk-conscious with their investments, according to this research. And one asset that can help diversify your portfolio and is not so correlated to traditional stocks and bonds is blue-chip contemporary art. And typically, it's only the bajillionaires like Beyonce and Bezos who can afford a chic Picasso for their walls. But Masterworks is changing all of that. Masterworks is the startup giving everyday investors a piece of the art pie, or palette to be metaphorical. They've made blue chip art investable, so you can own a fraction of a multi-million-dollar piece of art. That way, anyone can add paintings by artists like Monet, Basquiat, and Banksy to their portfolio without paying millions. And you can join them by going to Masterworks.Art/newsworthy. Again, that's Masterworks.Art/newsworthy. See important disclosures at Masterworks.io/disclaimer. Okay, now back to Money Monday. Prices at the pump continue to soar, and there's no signs of slowing down. The national average for gas sitting at $3.48 a gallon, $1 more than last year's average. So that means the average person is spending about $12 more to fill up a tank of gas in a medium-sized car. What's going on here? Well, AAA says there's a few reasons behind the hike. There's increased demand for heating oil in the winter months, and there's worries about the tension between Ukraine and Russia. If Western nations do end up imposing sanctions, that could disrupt imports. And those are just the top concerns. Analysts at Gas Buddy say you can expect prices to keep on climbing. They think the average will jump to $4 a gallon by Memorial Day. Still, there are things you can do. Gas Buddy also says drivers can save up to $250 a year by shopping around and by planning what days they want to fill up. It says in most of the United States, Monday is the best day of the week to save money. And the worst day to fill up is Thursday, since that's when it's most expensive. All right, thank you so much for listening today and for sharing the show. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.